Pirates! Back today with another video. This is Cristo and Alex from Yaga Mutou. Today we're talking about BANLIST.
It is that time of the year. BANLIST is coming out. We know it's coming out, and there's a lot of cards to talk about.
For sure. So let's get right into it, okay? So what we have up here at the very top is starting off with our current ban list that we have. So we got Sakazuki, blue, black. We also have black, great eruption.
We have Moby Dick. We have Enislavi. The blue Nami card.
Kabaji.
Kabaji.
Yes, sir.
Reject, and then RP Law.
Ban. Do you think all those should stay banned, brother?
Every single one but one, absolutely.
Ooh, maybe we'll get into that later, okay? And then down here, we also have potential cards that not only us, but also the One Piece community as a whole has been talking about maybe potentially banning / unbanning / I don't know, hitting at least.
Yeah, some kind of form of like iteration where it's like you can semi-limit. A lot of these cards are the ones that like we've heard either through like our locals or when we go to like regionals. This is kind of like the cards that like we've heard the most about, and so these are the ones that we're going to address as far as the video goes.
For sure. You want to get right into it, brother?
Absolutely. So the first one is going to be Beige. Beige is a 2-cost event, or not a 2-cost event. It's a 2-cost character card. Its trigger effect is basically you stun either you're a leader or a body on their side of the field, and it says they can't attack. And then on top of it, it's a 2K counter. While you may say that like it doesn't sound that powerful, I would argue there's not another card in the game that has single-handedly won more games than Beige. I've heard people talk about like where I did the numbers right, I had the exact number of swings, and let's say they had that one life and they just trigger Beige and you just automatically lose on the spot. So yes, I put that on the ban list.
Agreed. I just think, especially in a format where you have certain characters or leaders that can inherently, for your knowledge sake, you know that it's there. It can just sack the game and potentially like where a situation where your opponent may be calculated. Almost every play, got you down to the last life. You have low hand size, but then you hit a trigger like that and it just completely changes the tempo of the game.
You can summon it and then H-out Katakuri, put it to the bottom of your life. You can do so many plays with it where it's just like, what do you do as like, if you're the opponent and you run into a Beige and you knew that like, hey, I don't have the counter in hand or the life to be able to like stall another turn or the blockers, I have to push for game. You have the right numbers in, you spread out your Dawn correctly, and you just swing into life and you just get hit with the Beige and it steals the game.
For sure. And when we're talking about cards that need to be on ban list, those are cards that literally have like no downside to them.
None.
And when we look at Beige, like trigger stops a card, and we've already talked about how it changes the tide of games. Worst case scenario, it's in your hand, it's a 2K counter. There's no downside to the card.
Yeah, there's none. Like you said, it's a 2K. Even if it was a 1K counter, it would still be like a very strong card. Maybe not bannable because of that extra K.
And remember how earlier last year, whenever you topped at the regional with yellow, you were talking about how specifically if Beige itself was printed as Big Mom Pirates, it would be banned.
On the spot, absolutely.
Because you can search it with Putty.
Yeah.
Like the only reason that this card hasn't been touched right now is because it's not searchable, I believe.
Yeah, there's no card that like searches it as it is. Keeping on the same train, where we're going to talk about, I guess, the color yellow. It's Enel. This might be my hot take. I'd ban this card. I think Enel has the problem that a lot of like other leaders, specifically Black, have, and RP Law have. Even like Blue Black Sakazuki. But Enel is just way too strong and way too generic. It's just a toolbox yellow. And when you have the ability to just say like, I'm going to drop a Yamato, drop an ace, and then we have now the Rush Enel, there's too many ways for this deck just to be like, I'm just going to stall, put big bodies on the board, and their hand size is just so incredibly like large unless you're playing like Blue Pudding specifically.
For sure.
It's hard to like really dwindle those resources because they're cool just like swinging into your board, rip cards out of your hand, never touch your life, because they know that like as long as you have like an ace in hand, you go to 1 life, you pass, they're at 1 life, they just go ace, now they can take another like 3 swings. Like that's so incredibly powerful. And on top of it, I just feel like it's time for the deck to get touched and I think that just hitting beige is not enough to really like address yellow as like what I consider to be the second best color of the format. I think you just have to outright ban an L, so that way future yellow cards and future yellow leaders can see play and or see viability in the meta.
Oh, for sure, because then it makes it a way where if you ever print any generic yellow card, even if it's not generic, you can still play the card, you know? And it just gives more utilization to an L. Like any future yellow card they ever print.
So I think we can agree on putting this in the ban list.
Because even inherently, let's say like a deck like Doflamingo, right? It's an early game deck. Well, even if you aggress and push down this deck in the later games, and the later the game goes, this deck, since it's a late game deck, it just stalls, like you said, completely. It just rewards you for, you know, oh, I hit a straight trigger that now prolongs the game, which is what I want.
Like Frankie, it's a free draw, plus you get to put a body on board. If they're playing the Kiko Nojo, then they just trigger the Kiko Nojo for free. If they're playing the Rocket Luffy, now they pop a card on your side of the field. Like it's yellow in general is just very, very strong, and I think the way to address it is you need to ban beige and you need to ban an L. The next card to talk about would be the zero cost yellow event. I'm gonna be honest, I'm hesitant to say ban, but it needs to either be semi-limit or ban. I don't know what the correct answer is, but you need to do something, because it's still like one of those like where it's kind of like, you know, like how right now every black deck plays Gecko. I feel like any yellow deck is playing like, oh, I need a free, like, get rid of bricks out of hand, play the zero cost event. Because yellow is just that long, it wants to get into that late game. So because you want to get into that late game to drop your big bodies, you're going to be like clogged up.
Agreed.
So I'll be honest, I don't know what the correct answer is. I'm leaning towards more like maybe limit it to like 2 for a semi, or limit to 1. I think like you can make the argument to ban it, but I think I don't want the ban list to be like we ban every single card. If it gets on the ban list, it gets banned or it gets limited. I do think there is, like, especially because like we're not Yu-Gi-Oh! We're not limited to like 3 cards. We have 4. So like I think the idea is that like it's okay to like say that we can have some cards on the semi list.
Agreed.
And I think the zero cost event is a good like. This is kind of like where it's not powerful enough to be banned.
Completely.
But yeah, completely banned. But it's too strong to leave at like 4 or 3, because like you can run into like a lot of decks where they're just going to have to like just go zero cost event, zero cost event, zero cost event, and you can make the argument that like most decks are only running 3, so like, oh no, they're going to move to 2. But I feel like at 1, which I guess maybe if you really, really want to hit it,
you would never see it.
Yeah, you would never hit it. So I feel like 1 is a little too egregious right now. I think 2 is kind of the right spot.
Agreed. Just like you said, on the same train of thought, where so far, like, you know, One Piece and Bandai, they've only been banning these cards, you know, and they've been unbanning certain cards, and it's only like one way or the other. But I think, like you said, how extensive Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list is, which is what our background is. There are certain cards that are on the limit, so put it down to 1, or semi, put it down to 2. So there's like certain ratios to certain cards. With this, I think it's a perfect example. Like, put it down to 2, you know, it's not as consistent of a luck stack when you see it, so you see it, and it also puts you on, you have to be a little bit more careful when you use it, you know?
Yeah, you can't just say that like, oh, I'm gonna use the zero cost like pretty early. You have to be more like conscious about like your decision.
Hold it. You gotta hold it.
So the next one is gonna be one that was it's the 8-drop kid. A lot of people were talking about this card like the last since we've been playing, since like OP03, OP04.
I mean, this card's been out since the jump. It's
Yeah.
OP01.
But
you know, even originally with the green cost, green character kid, original green leader in OP01, this was running rampant.
Yeah.
As a leader, you would just rest this. Your opponent can't out it literally, because this was when black wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
So
So
you'd have to
it's
hit
stuck
into
on the
it.
board.
Yeah.
You know,
You
we
know,
didn't have red rocks, so
for
it
sure.
was just like.
And then you just swing with them aggressively with that. They take probably, and then you just swing everything with your leader and restand again with leader effect, and then you just luck stack them.
Yeah.
It's like,
But the problem with 8-drop Kid and why like I think like for me it's I would just leave it at 4. I think it needs no changes.
Agreed.
Specifically because now we have so many cards in the format that say like trash decks. Yeah, they just out it so quickly. If you're playing the red deck, you just go Tama into Beckman. Mm-hmm. Like you have so many cards that just like immediately just go like, all right, I can just trash it. Or you just go Rayleigh, play the Rayleigh, -3 the Kid, -2 something else, and then you just pop the blocker. Mm-hmm. And that way they can't just go like Rosinante Protect or something along those lines. So I think for me, Kid is fine at 4. If you were to ban it, I think that the time to ban it was a while ago, specifically in that OP04, OP05 format. I think that maybe even OP03. I think that was the time to ban it, but now we're like, what, OP010? So I think this can go to no changes. We leave it there, and it's fine.
For sure.
And then I guess the next card, this was kind of like the weird, like what we heard from people with Rosinante. Cristo, take it away.
I mean, even I agree with this card. Some people say that it just inherently makes you pass. If your deck isn't a way to out this, like, for example, blue, they can just bounce characters, or red, they can maybe power reduce and out the Rosinante first, and then be able to deal with the issue that is the Kid that's rested. You know, if you're playing yellow, you can't out it because KO mechanic. If you're playing black, you have to KO, so you can't out it. Even if you swing big into it, Rosinante specifically says if this character were to be KO'd, it doesn't have to be KO'd by card effects. Even if you swing big into it, I mean, it's a blocker. It just blocks. Inherently, the issue with Kid is like, yeah, you play the Kid and it rests, and you play out a blocker, and that already in itself gives you a lot of value, but you can maybe play around that, you know. You can KO the Kid and the blocker stays, but if you out summon not the Rosinante, but the Kid, and then out with the Rosinante, it basically puts, if you're not playing blue or red, it basically puts you in a checkmate position. You inherently have to then out the Rosinante, swing hard into the Kid, and if the Kid still survives, then you're basically prone to a 10-drop Doflamingo next turn, which then is just a snowball effect. It basically inherently puts you in a snowball effect.
Because like because I understand like you have like the other 2-drop blocker, the Kid Killer. The one where it draws a card.
For sure.
But I think the problem, like kind of like you said, the problem with this card is like the fact that it stops like KO just general.
In general, it just puts you in like a small checkmate.
Yeah.
Any other blocker that you were to summon, like the Kid already gives you so much value because now you have something that will protect it. Which, if you play out any other blocker, you can out the Kid. But if you play the Rosinante, now if you're any other color other than, we said blue and red, then you basically can't out it.
Because black only has the one card that trashes, which is the 9-drop.
For sure. You gotta see it.
Yeah, you gotta see it. So like I kind of agree with you. I personally put it in future problems, where it's kind of something to like look at, because like right now green's not too strong as it is right now, but there is like a game that I play is Grand Archive, and they go by this list of calling like category 1, 2, and 3, where they say like, hey, we don't know exactly how we want to like ban it, and we don't know if we do want to ban it, so we're gonna put them in categories of like how powerful they are. I kind of look at our future problems kind of like in that category. While Kid, I don't really see being like the 8-drop Kid being a problem in the future, because like as the game progresses, we have like ways to like get around that individual card. But having a card that's like a simple blocker, like that's just free. It's a 2-drop blocker that you can cheat out by Kid. That just says that like, hey, if it would be KO'd, you can get rid of this card instead. Because you can like because even if you swing with something like, let's say, unblockable, right? You summon, let's say you go Perfume on your Doflamingo, or you summon the 5/6 Luffy that has unblockable, and you just swing the farm at the Kid, you can just...
Rosinante still gets its value.
Yeah, Rosinante still gets its value.
And I've had countless judge calls on that, where if not on me, I've heard it at my local where other people have called judge because they're like, but I activated unblockable, how is he able to do that? It's because of
the effect. Yeah. And I think that because of that, I think
It skill checks you.
Yeah,
also.
it's a hard skill check.
It's a hard skill check, and it's also a big checkmate.
But it's one of those, like, I just don't know if I would put it on the semi-limit or ban list right now.
Fair.
Just because green is in such like a weird position where it's kind of like
completely.
We think it's going to get stronger eventually,
but it's getting outshined because of predominantly black.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, I would like to have that as a segue into this card specifically.
Oh yeah, let's just spoiler alert, guys. This is
being the main reason why green has nothing on the ban list, because this card and black in general just bullies green out of the.
I'll even take it a step farther. If you play League of Legends, one of the inside jokes in League of Legends is that like if you play Misfortune, it's an elo carry. I feel like Gecko is an elo carry. I've seen so many like. I'll be honest. Back when Sakazuki first came out, you could tell a really good Sakazuki player versus like a bad Sakazuki player. I can't tell the difference between a bad Lucci player and a good Lucci player because of Gecko. The only time like you can see shine is when they don't play with the Gecko. But I played games where like most recently I was in a store championship. The guy had 0 cards in hand. I was in a really good spot. And he just top decks the Gecko for like just immediate like, oh, I'm screwed. Like there's nothing I can do about it anymore.
Immediate value.
Immediate value. It's a card that like you can drop it and it loses no value. There's not a single situation where you don't drop the Gecko and it sees value.
For sure.
You can clear board with Gecko. Mm-hmm. You can get blockers established plus get cards in hand to like be able to live turns. So that way on the following turn you can drop like another Gecko and then just like reestablish like another board. And it just gains so much value. In Black Yellow Luffy, it's a 22 Dawn card.
It is a 22 Dawn
so
card.
This card gotta go. I've never heard a card that like in any card game like I've ever played, cards like this are not something that's healthy for the game. And even in our game, we know people in our circle that don't want to play the game because of Gecko. One of the players that are locals, I asked him why his sister don't play, and he was talking about Black and Gecko. And you know what? I can't blame her. Like, as much as I want to say that, like, adjust with the changes, this card is not adjust with the changes. This card single-handedly is making black so tunneled into we gotta play the Gecko. And like I said, I feel like Gecko shows no skill expression. I can't tell the difference between a good and a bad Lucci player. I can't tell the difference between a bad and a good Black Yellow Luffy player. I couldn't even tell the difference between a good and bad Sakazuki player because of Gecko. It's kind of like...
But especially in like Lucci and in Black Yellow Luffy predominantly, because in Black Yellow it basically makes your Dawn 22 Dawn turn, and then with Lucci you lose 1 Dawn, but you're at a 21 Dawn turn because the generic play with Lucci, at least to go wide, you go Gecko Moria into Rebecca into a rested Helmeppo, so that in itself is already 14 Dawn. Plus Rebecca then revives out the Spandine, which is the 3 cost, and then that in itself revives the Rob Lucci, which is 4 cost. So in total, it's 21 Dawn turn.
Yeah, that's
but then
crazy.
But I also forgot the 2 Dawn that you still have untapped, so it's actually a 23 Dawn turn.
You can do Ice Age, and then the card that goes draw a card -2 or -3 on the board. It's just like it being an 8-drop 9k swing, because even let's say Katakuri is an 8/8 that removes a 6 or an 8 cost body on the board, but it puts it into either top or bottom of someone's life. So you're still effectively yes, you're removing 1 card, but it's a full 8 Dawn commitment to play 1 body. This is an 8/9 that just has so much value, and I can't say enough about how much I hate this card.
For sure.
I think it's a terribly designed card. I'll stand by it. I think players are getting carried by this card versus actually being good at the game. And I'm not saying there's plenty of Lucci players that I know that I think are good players, but I just can't tell them that they're playing well or they're not playing well, because at the end of the day they're just dropping Geckos, and it's just it is what it is. And I'll stand by it. I was playing Big Mom. People can go see I was playing the 10-drop Big Mom, and I'll stand by that. I didn't think I was the best player on the planet. I was just dropping 10 drops and just living with it. I wasn't oh, I'm the best player ever.
Oh, for sure. But that's also a 10 drop, so it's also 1 whole turn after the fact. You're able to play this out on your 4 Dawn turn.
And I would even argue that this is better than any 10 drop in the game.
For sure.
Even we could say that 10 drop Big Mom is the best 10 drop in the game. This card is a mile ahead of it. Which would bring us, I guess, to the other black card to address, which is Ice Age. Ice Age is complicated because right now it's so powerful because of the Gecko. So if you ban the Gecko, Ice Age kind of loses value, but I still think just being a 1-drop -5 anything on the board
is harsh.
It's so harsh because like Black has so many uses that can just be like, all right, we can now Hemepo, the one that res -4 something. Now you just turn like for almost essentially 5 Dawn, you can just make it a 1 cost, play the Brook, pop it. So like you can easily out so many cards with just Ice Age. I think Ice Age is the same thing where with the 0 cost event, I think you just semi it and then you just say that like, hey, we'll yes, you have to be more strategic with your Ice Age. You can't just be all willy-nilly. Like if you Ice Age like a 7 or a 6 drop to out it.
Oh, for sure. Like if you, especially early in the game, like if you do that like turn 3, then it's like, oh, it tells your opponent if it is semi-limited, damn, they only have 1 more.
Yeah. So I'm cool with the idea of semi-limiting this. I don't think banning or limiting it is like the answer to it.
Agreed.
I guess we'll talk now about the other monster in the format, which is Doflamingo. I'll be honest, I don't know which of these 3 cards do you touch. Teach allows for a lot of like just degen stuff. It allows you just to like set up your hand because sometimes like your hand is cracked and you want to summon out of your hand versus like go Perona and search it and then go like Perona, stack the Jinbei, play this versus like you can go this on your 3 Dawn turn effect, put Jinbei on top. That way, like it basically guarantees your Doflamingo always playing. Jinbei's problem is that like it just plays any card for free, and like that's crazy. And then you have Law, which basically says that like you can go Teach into Jinbei into Law effect, bounce the Teach, bounce something on your side of the field, or you can go effective Law, bounce the Jinbei, bounce the Law, and then just commit to the 7k swing. And I think that even then, like, that's still a lot of value because you're essentially saying, like, I'm going to keep my hand full. I'm going to make sure that you have to swing into my life before on the next turn, I can just go summon Jinbei, summon Law, bounce the card on your side of the field, bounce the Jinbei back to my hand, and then go this effect, attach the 2, swing for 7, go effect, summon another body. So you effectively, like, that turn is so disgusting. So I don't know which of these 3 cards. One of them I think you need to limit. And then
1.
Yeah, limit to 1. If I had to say which one, I would probably be honest and say I would limit this one. Just specifically because, like I said, I think the bouncing and removing of your opponent's board, I think I think you should have to force Dofi players into playing the Gravity Blade more often instead of just being able to loop the Law, because I think the Law allows you to loop the Jinbei as well, and it being a problem. Versus these cards, I kind of think that, like, while they are problematic, I don't think hitting these really addresses, like, the inherent problems. Because they're still going to be able to, like, you know, go Teach, go Effect, stack the Boa, stack the Weevil, stack whatever, play that.
But they neg 2 cards, which I've also talked to a lot of Dofi players, and they inherently, it's a indecisive card. Like, it's in the middle. It's very, like, bipolar. Like, people either love the card or people either hate the card. There's no in between.
Yeah,
because
there is
you either love it because of the value it might offer you, you know, because sometimes for stacking what's in your hand versus, you know, the top 5 off your deck, you know, maybe a little bit more appetizing. But some people hate the card, you know, because it inherently negs 2. So you play the card, you already lose 1, and then you also have to top deck a card. And if you aren't playing Weevil, then you don't get that card back, so you instant neg 2 in hand. And if we're playing a deck that inherently your hand size is everything, then it's like shit.
That's why, like, I think the way to do it is limit the structure deck Law. Just, you can put this in the future problems category. You can swap these. I don't think it really matters that much. I just think that Law allows for more degenerate plays than the Jinbei. Jinbei just is a very honest card in the sense that, like, I'm not saying honest in the sense of, like, oh, it's fair to be able to play, like, another card for free off of Jinbei. I just think it's more fair in the sense that, like... But
there are a lot of cards that go play and then can play out. Cause,
Zoro, or Luffy Toro. There we go.
Luffy Toro plays out another character. We also have, like, for
Rebecca.
Yellow...
the
Rebecca that's coming in OP10.
Orm
Holy from Yellow and Now. Yeah. You also got, like, Green Film with the Brooks in Tsunami, or you got the 7-drop.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So like I think like I'm cool with this versus more than this because like I said, I think this allows for more degenerate combos that just allows you to have more advantage than just Jinbei. Because the Jinbei also, like you can swing into a Jinbei and you can swing into like, you know, because if they go swing with Dofi, summon this, summon Weevil, you just swing 7 into this, it dies.
For sure.
It's dead versus they go this into this, bounce bolt into hand, and now they just go Jinbei again on the next turn. So I think, yeah, just leave this as what it is. It is what it is. You can just say, hey, this can be a problem in the future, but as it is right now, this is a pretty honest card. This is the card that I think that actually allows for a lot of degenerate stuff. And I think, like, let's just be honest, Dofi can search any card it wants because of Perona and also because of the new buggy card, and then they also have the Sengoku or whatever it's called. So they have so many searches. I don't know if Sengoku can search this card. I'm pretty sure it can. Can it?
Sengoku.
Yeah, the 1-drop Sengoku.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 7 Warlord.
So, like I said, because of that,
Searchable.
I think, yeah, it's searchable. So you can do that. The next card is going to be Gum Gum Giant, and it's purple. And I think this is a great, it's a great example of this card has only been out for one format, and when it first got played against me, I went, this card is a problem. Already proving it's a problem. I think this card, I'll be honest, limited to 1. I don't want this card because like I've had games like where it's like
back to back to back.
And it's just like holy cow, like what is this? And then on top of it, they can go 9-drop Big Mom, pitch card from hand, minus a Dawn, and if they're playing the the purple black Luffy, they get then 2 Dawn back. If they're playing the I've even seen this being played in like, you know, really weird like Reiju decks, and then it's just like, wow, what's going on here? Like it's every
generic.
Yeah,
it's just good generic red, or not red, but purple.
Yeah, and
it's basically a red radical beam. Yeah. But not only that, you get to cycle your breaks.
Yeah, it's like Sabo. You get to fix your hand.
Fix your hand and draw into another one.
Yeah, fix your hand, draw into another one.
Draw into 4.
Draw into 4. So like. That's a little messed up. But the point being is, like, it just being a 4K counter that says, like, hey, I can now fix my hand, see, like, dig deeper. I don't understand that. Because there's plenty of one cost, like, 4Ks and that have, like, some effects. I just think that this being able to, like, draw to is just, like, beyond insane.
For sure. Putting it at 1, then it would...
It'd be an honest card. You would have to be honest about it.
For sure. And then it would loop people back to, like, its original Blast Breath.
Yeah. And then finally our last card, Goldie Roger. This is a future problem card for me.
For sure.
I don't like any card in any game that says, like, if win a game. In Yu-Gi-Oh! We had Victory Dragon, and that card's banned. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not allow for any game card that says, like, win a match for free, essentially, if, like, X criteria is being made. And anytime like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had like weird, like we call them FTKs, first turn kills, Konami comes out and just like bans it immediately, basically, or they go out of their way to like make it like almost impossible to pull off the FTK. In our game, because we are best of ones, just having like a card that says like, hey, if you use a blocker and I have no life or you have no life, you automatically lose. I've had games like where I was in a losing scenario and I had 0 life and I top decked Goldie Roger and I looked at their board of 2 blockers and 0 life and going, someone Goldie Roger, swing to life, you have 6 cards in hand, 7 cards in hand, I hope you can counter for 13. If you don't, I'm going to swing 5 again, just with leader. But I think right now it's not ban worthy, it's not limited. Like Goldie Roger, if you're playing it, you're already playing it at 2 or 1. You're never playing it at 4.
But like you said, future problem, because we know since we got the leaks for OP11, new characters are getting their shine. Like I forget the color combination, but the Shirahoshi that's getting there.
Isn't it green yellow?
Green yellow Shirahoshi. We're getting black red Kobe. We're getting purple Katakuri. There's a lot of like new introductions. If we ever get
the yellow
red
blue Nami.
anything, yeah.
I'll already say it. That yellow blue Nami is gonna get on the. Oh, we forgot to add a card. We forgot to talk about Flambe.
Flambe.
I'll be honest. Flambe is gonna get it's probably gonna get banned or something's gonna happen to that card. If I had the Flambe, it would be right here in Future Problems. But Flambe and Blue Yellow Nami reads as a draw 3.
Draw 3.
Draw 3. One card. Just one card displayed. Draw 3. That's crazy. So yeah, that card is gonna get banned. Something, dude. You can't, like, that card is so degen, like,
because like when we're talking about like things that are on this ban list that have like no downside to it, it's a 1-cost card that literally will draw you 3 cards. Worst case, if you keep it in hand, it's a 2K counter.
Yeah,
There's no downside to it.
And then
Generic.
also because it's a yellow, and
Generic.
yellow is big on, oh well, when we get to late game, we just gain life. It just reading as a plus 3, get to late game, gain life. That is like one turn plus 3 cards. Well, I mean, it's a plus 2 because you still have to like put a card down, I guess. So you minus a card in hand, but it's a draw 3 card. So I'm that card is going to be so degen in that deck
For sure.
But this is our ban list. If you have any questions, if you don't agree with us, you disagree with us, just leave a comment,
Exactly. And before we get out with the video, we just wanted to give one last shout out to our local game store, Astral Gaming, that's located over in Houston, Texas. They host locals every Thursday and Saturday at 7 p.m. It's great local, great people running it, and a great community. If you have or live in the Houston area, I definitely recommend coming out to the locals.
Best shop in Houston.
Best shop in Houston. Shout out to Astral Gaming and shout out to Generation Collection. Okay, y'all? And yeah, this is our ban list, like Alex said. If anything, just like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to swing for game.
Swing for game.
Peace.
Peace. I hate you. You are all bad players. You suck. My penis is large.